Good evening, you're watching News Today at 9 p.m. I'm Preeti Choudhry. All right, let's quickly dip into the latest news break that is filtering in from Maharashtra over the Mahayuti government formation. The deadlock, viewers, continues. What we do know, Ajit Pawar is in Delhi, likely to meet Home Minister Amit Shah later at night. BJP troubleshooter Girish Mahajan has been dispatched to meet Eknath Sunde, who's suddenly taken ill in the last 24 hours, not meeting anybody, cancelling the Mahayuti meet as well from his side. Shiv Sena, Eknath Sunde faction has now come out and made it very clear that they want a respectable post for Shinde and the Shiv Sena. What really entails a respectable post? That's the big question.
पूरे के पूरे हमारे जो पार्लियामेंट के सदस्य हैं उन्होंने एक मत से बोला था कि एकनाथ अपने श्रीकांत शिंदे जी को मिनिस्टर बनाइए। उन्हें कहाँ एक्सेप्ट किया? उन्होंने बोला कि सीनियर मोस्ट जो शिवसेना का लीडर है उनको कर दीजिए। ये सेल्फिश लोग नहीं है बिल्कुल, वो तो एक दिलदार नेता है, वो हमेशा लड़ते रहते हैं और उन्होंने बहुत अच्छा काम करके दिखाया है। लोकसभा का जो रिजल्ट था उसके बावजूद अच्छा रिजल्ट आ गया। इसमें तो सबसे ज़्यादा क्रेडिट मोदी साहब को ही है, लेकिन फिर भी उनके लीडरशिप में ये सब हुआ है। बहुत अच्छे सोशल स्कीम्स उन्होंने लाए, सोशल वेलफेयर स्कीम्स। तो इस सब का ये इफेक्ट है कि एक अच्छी सरकार बने महाराष्ट्र में और उनका जो मान है वो भी रखा जाए, क्योंकि उन्होंने इतनी मेहनत की है। हालांकि हमने कम ही सीट लड़ी थी, तो उनसे ज़्यादा तो हमारी सीट नहीं आ सकती।
All right, let's cut across to Ritvik Balekar, getting us the latest updates coming in, especially where the Shinde Sena comes into question. Ritvik, even the press conference that Eknath Shinde did from his Thane residence left more questions than gave answers, where he constantly maintained that he is really not out of the race, but will go with whatever Prime Minister decides. Since then, he's been taken ill. We wish him well. In the last 24 hours, he's not held any meetings, but the latest that has happened is an emissary from the BJP in the form of Girish Mahajan been dispatched to meet him. What else are you picking up?
Absolutely. Now that Eknath Shinde, after a 2-day break and is ill-health, has finally got to meet Girish Mahajan, close aide of Devendra Fadnavis and also called as Sankat Mochak in BJP, Maharashtra BJP, has now reached to meet Eknath Shinde. It might work as an icebreaker because since last 3 to 4 days, Eknath Shinde has been constantly saying that I need to meet other two leaders, the state leaders of Mahayuti, Devendra Fadnavis and Ajit Pawar, to discuss the portfolio allocation. But at the same time, he is also awaiting the final decision from the BJP top brass in Delhi that who will be the next face of CM of Maharashtra. Now that the observers are appointed by BJP and they'll be flying down to Mumbai maybe tomorrow or day after, and then BJP's legislative meeting will be held, and once the group leader has been elected, it will be very clear that who will be the face of Maharashtra. But still, I think Eknath Shinde is keeping his cards close to his chest and is trying to bargain hard. And
Ritvik, the latest that is coming is from his closest aide, and he goes ahead and says, we want a respectable position. What does a respectable position entail?
See, obviously, he's been the Chief Minister of Maharashtra, and now, if he is going to accept the Deputy CM post, he is expecting some really heavy portfolios like Home Department or Revenue or Finance. All three major portfolios are with BJP or NCP Ajit Pawar, and he is ending up getting nothing more than that. He might get urban development, but he's been handling that department for past 1 decade. So he is insisting on Home Department, and we really need to see that will BJP leave Home Department for Eknath Shinde.
All right, let's also get in a word from Sudhir Suryavanshi, senior journalist who's watching very closely the dramatic developments in Maharashtra politics. Sudhir, what do you make of it? Emissary sent by the BJP, Girish Mahajan, to meet Eknath Shinde this evening. He wants a respectable post. What is a respectable post? Will he be happy if he gets home along with urban development that he's already held? Will he want speaker? Will he want finance? What's a respectable post?
Preeti, the political circus or the tussle is getting very interesting day by day as it is stretching every day. Many the way situation is unfolding, many new thing has been emerging. Today it was expected that the Eknath Shinde, Devendra Fadnavis, and Ajit Pawar will have the meeting in Mumbai, and later they will fly to Delhi and meet the top leadership of BJP to finalize the name of the chief minister, and then the allocation of the portfolios, as Shinde has hinted at his native village press conference. But nothing such kind of thing has happened. Neither meeting has happened in Mumbai or nor in Delhi as well. What I see the flashback in this current situation of Maharashtra in 2014, if you remember and if you rightly recall, in 2014 also BJP has emerged as a single largest party with odd 120 number of MLAs in 288 member of state assembly election. After the election, immediately the Sharad Pawar, that time the United NCP, has declared unconditional support to the BJP, and the Shiv Sena had that time United Shiv Sena didn't know how to react to it. They were very clueless, and that time the bargaining power of the Shiv Sena has completely reduced. Now Sharad Pawar nephew Ajit Pawar has done the same thing today with the Shiv Sena. That is the Shinde Shiv Sena, earlier Uddhav Shiv Sena. He has given the unconditional support to the Devendra Fadnavis and BJP, and that has even the Shinde people has claiming on public platform that Ajit Pawar has reduced their bargaining power drastically. Even they are blaming the Ajit Pawar. If Ajit Pawar would have not been not in the Mahayuti alliance, they would have owned the 100 and more seats in the state assembly election. So situation is very tricky.
Okay. But
for
Sudhir,
the Shiv
Ajit
Sena
Pawar,
and
even on the day when the massive mandate came in for Mahayuti, made it very clear that natural justice demanded that Devendra Fadnavis be the chief minister. What do you see from here on, Sudhir? Do you see Eknath Shinde now take a back foot, agree with what is offered, or do you see him digging in his heels where at least cabinet positions are concerned? Portfolios come into question.
See, Preeti, a couple of things are very important in this entire episode. See, in Maharashtra, particularly in every state also, which are the two important portfolios particularly, the Home Ministry and the Finance Minister. Now NCP, Ajit Pawar, group is getting, faction is getting NCP. So it is legitimate demand of the Eknath Shinde that they should get at least Home Ministry. So there will be a balance of the power among the three alliance partners. If Ajit Pawar, who has got a 41 MLAs, can get the finance, the Shinde Sena that has got the 57 MLAs, they are not getting the home department. That is completely, they are feeling it is completely unfair and injustice to them. On the other hand, BJP feels that if the home department is given, if the home department considered, so what is left with the CM? So he will be like a toothless CM in the at the chair. He will be the chief minister, but he will not have the major say or major portfolio with him. So that is a tricky situation for the BJP. Now what Shinde Sena or the Eknath Shinde Sena will take the next course of action, that is important. But I feel that today's situation, Shinde may have lost his bargaining power in the state government, but he still hold the bargaining power in the center because he has got 7 Lok Sabha MPs, and his party the 7th largest party in the NDA. And the BJP desperately need Shinde in center. They may not need in the state, government because they have the enough number here. But if
is there some wrangling over who would be speaker as well?
Yeah.
Sudhir, is there going to be some wrangling over the speaker's post?
Yes. If you see, the speaker's post is very crucial. We have seen in Maharashtra and many places like Karnataka also, the speaker is the key person, qualifying and disqualifying of the MLAs. If the, speaker post is with BJP, they may disqualify the Shinde people and put pressure over the rest of the people to join the BJP and merge with the BJP. So that is where, fear is going among the mind of the Shiv Sena, particularly Shinde's, MLAs. And the many MLAs, they want to share the power, but Shinde feels that if he compromises, then his days are, counted. His party days are counted. So that is very, a very complex situation for the Eknath Shinde, because he has to survive, his party has to survive. If BJP will not give him honorable, post and situation and the portfolio, what, thing he will tell the people? And he has been claiming that because of him and his work, they got the power in the Maharashtra. They got a massive mandate and victory of the Maharashtra. Yesterday, he has categorically said his tenure will be written in the golden words. So he's, indirectly saying because of him, BJP is getting power. But in the return, what he is getting? Nothing. Even not finance, not home portfolio, not about the speaker also.
All right, Sudhir, appreciate you joining us. There's never a dull moment in politics, especially when it comes down to Maharashtra politics. Because what we do know, though, and we can say that for sure, 5th December, which is 3 days from now, there will be an oath-taking ceremony. We don't know who's going to take oath. All indications seem to suggest it's going to be Devendra Fadnavis. But what is a respectable position that Eknath Sunde wants, and will he be delivered that respectable position? We are going to keep a keen eye on. For now, to give you an analogy, the marriage date is fixed, but we don't quite know who's actually going to sit on the horse or who is going to be the bridegroom. Well, one thing we do know, that there will be a bridegroom because it's going to be one of the three factions. For now, Ajit Pawar has made it very clear that he would want Devendra Fadnavis to step into the shoes of the Chief Minister of Maharashtra, which the Eknath Shinde faction feels dilutes their claim. With that, we're going to let it rest, but keep a keen eye and get you all the developments coming in from Maharashtra. But let's quickly shift focus to the other big developing news that we've been tracking carefully, and that is the continuing unrest and the situation in Bangladesh. In the latest, at least 63 ISKCON monks were stopped from entering India by the Bangladeshi authorities despite having valid travel documents. On Sunday, a Hindu journalist was also attacked, and she was accused of being an Indian stooge. Meanwhile, West Bengal Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee has now urged the Prime Minister to seek UN intervention over Bangladesh crisis. Lots of politics back home. You've had the UBT faction of the Shiv Sena also writing a letter to the Prime Minister on why are we still playing cricket with Bangladesh. So lots of politics, but in the midst of it, the focus clearly on Bangladesh. Take a look at this detailed report.
Bangladeshi Hindus face persecution under the Muhammad Yunus government. Days after Hindu priest Chinmoy Das was arrested, 63 Bangladeshi ISKCON monks were not allowed to cross to India despite possessing valid documents. The police had last week arrested 2 ISKCON priests who had visited Chinmoy Das in prison to hand over food and medicines. The police claimed that the 2 priests were arrested on November 29 in connection with some pending cases in which they were suspects.
अभी तक बांग्लादेश में 4 ब्रह्मचारियों को गिरफ्तार किया गया है। 2 दिन पहले जब चिन्मय कृष्णा प्रभु को दवा और प्रसाद लेके 2 ब्रह्मचारी गए थे, तो वो जब वापस आ रहे थे उनको पुलिस ने गिरफ्तार कर लिया और चिन्मय कृष्ण दास के जो सेक्रेटरी हैं उनको भी गिरफ्तार कर लिया गया है। और हमारे एक इस्कॉन सेंटर में भी एक कल तोड़फोड़ हुई।
A Hindu journalist was also attacked in capital Dhaka. The mob that targeted journalist Munni Shah accused her of being a raw agent. West Bengal Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee has urged the government of India to take up the matter with the United Nations.
Government of India can take up the matter with the United Nations so that they can send the peacekeeping force in Bangladesh and they can get food or people from Bangladesh.
Mamata vowed to accept Bangladeshi Hindus in West Bengal and give them all the necessities.
আমি ব্যক্তিগতভাবে মনে করি যে এটা তার জন্য খুব সঠিক পদক্ষেপ না রাজনৈতিক দৃষ্টিভঙ্গি থেকে।
The BJP accused the TMC of shedding crocodile tears for Bangladeshi Hindus.
দুর্গা মণ্ডপে ঢুকে যখন জিহাদিরা বলল শাক বাজাবেন না, উলুধ্বনি দেবেন না, ঢাক বাজাবেন না, কোথায় ছিল আপনার পুলিশ? গার্ডেন রিচে দুর্গা মণ্ডপে ঢুকে বলল গীতা পাঠ, চণ্ডী পাঠ, মন্ত্র উচ্চারণের মাইক বন্ধ করো, কোথায় ছিল আপনার পুলিশ? ওপারে ইউনুস যাহা, এবারে মমতা ব্যানার্জি তাহা।
Shiv Sena UBT MP Priyanka Chaturvedi wrote a letter to Prime Minister Narendra Modi urging him to hold the Yunus government accountable for targeted attacks on Hindus. The attacks on minority Hindu community in Bangladesh has invited condemnation from across the world. Meanwhile, over 50 protesters reportedly entered the premises of the Bangladeshi mission in Agartala. India's Ministry of External Affairs expressed regret and Bangladesh Foreign Ministry condemned the breach of the Bangladesh Assistant High Commission in Tripura. The ouster of Sheikh Hasina government and the unrest that followed have become a diplomatic challenge for New Delhi. Bureau Report, India Today.
One thing is very clear, viewers, that the Yunus government is not doing enough. It's allowed things to completely slip out of hand. But the question is India, with all its diplomatic might, making sure that the Yunus government acts quick and fast? That's the question we pose in this quick debate. Joining me, Veena Sikri, former Indian High Commissioner to Bangladesh, Sanju Verma, National Spokesperson, Bharatiya Janata Party, Brajendra Singh, Congress Spokesperson and Lok Sabha MP. Veena Sikri, to begin with you, the fact, it's very clear that the Yunus government has allowed things to completely get out of hands. Question that I ask you, Veena Sikri, with all the measures that we have taken till now, the politics aside, is India doing all it can to exercise enough diplomatic pressure to not see the visual stream in from Bangladesh that we see every day?
Absolutely. I think the government of India has given this the utmost seriousness. And I would say right from 5th of August, which is the day when Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina left the country. On 8th of August, when Prime Minister sent his message to Mohammed Yunus, he immediately mentioned the attacks on the minorities, because that's what had happened. The first thing to happen after Sheikh Hasina left the country. And they have continued thousands of attacks. Attacks on economic livelihood, attacks on properties. And now when the Hindus are coming together, the minorities, Hindus, Christians and Buddhists, they're all saying that we are going to stay in this country, we are citizens, we want to stay. We want our rights. And it is the search for rights that took Chinmoy Krishan Das to lead the people. He created an organization called Samiliti Sanatan Jagran Jot, and they made an 8-point demand to the government. But the Mohammed Yunus government is in complete denial. I don't think they are in control of the law and order situation, because there is no police worth the name. The army has magistracy powers and police powers, but they don't seem to be exercising it. And they are completely ignoring the demands being made by the minority communities. There have been attacks on the Buddhist community in Khankrachari in September, and the continuing attacks. So I think the government is watching it very carefully. They are keeping the situation within control. For example, today there was an attack on the Assistant High Commissioner of Bangladesh in Agartala, and we have regretted that. But I must say that at the same time, the Indian flag has been desecrated in Dhaka as well. They have painted the flag on the streets and footpaths, and people are walking over it every day. So I think this is something that we have to take up, and we have been taking up. I think that the global awareness this time is perhaps the highest that I've seen. Because I must tell you that the situation of the minorities today in Bangladesh has never been so severe since 1971. Because the kind of continued attacks and continued attempts to get them to leave has not been seen since 1971. But this time we've seen even President Trump make a strong statement against it. The government is weighing all its options. They've told the government of Bangladesh that we are prepared to talk to you and have normal relations, but there is no comeback from the government of Bangladesh.
Brajendra Singh, there's always time for politics, but then there are few issues, few developments that should be above politics. And I'll give you an example. Mamata Banerjee from the TMC has now completely backed the Modi government for its position on the escalating communal violence against Hindus in Bangladesh. On the contrary, Brajendra Singh, the Congress has taken a very different stand, where your very own have gone ahead and criticized the government and actually stating that India is losing influence in the sphere because they cannot stop the violence. There is a diplomatic protocol, and India seems to be doing all that it can. Sir, you're on mute.
Yeah, thank you, Preeti ji. As far as I am concerned, I see no contradiction in this, because there is no denying that the kind of leverage we had with Sheikh Hasina government was there for all to see. And the current turmoil in Bangladesh the country is in crisis. Political crisis is there, and of course, law and order seems to have broken down to a large extent. And there has been a continued persecution and attack on the minorities, on their places of worship. So these are definitely things where Government of India, the stand which the Government of India has taken, it's a very measured one, and I'm glad that one is not pandering to the communal politics, because communal rhetoric, from wherever it comes, it always feeds into the other. So that is something to be avoided, because what happened in Agartala today is very regrettable, and the Government of India, Ministry of External Affairs, has expressed as much. So these kind of things should be avoided, and should be the government should come down heavily on that. But having said that, the Bangladesh, the interim arrangement which they have, as of now, they don't seem to be in control of the situation. And these kind of attacks, they are continuing unabated. And it's high time the government of Bangladesh, whatever is there of it, they should crack down on all these elements. And I'm pretty sure the hooligans have also come into the picture in a big way, as normally happens when unrest lasts for this long.
But Mr. Singh, allow me to come in for a rebuttal as I bring in Sanju Verma into this conversation. You know, you've expressed that what the government is doing is a measured response, but is that a personal opinion or the opinion of the party that you represent? Because I'll just quote a few examples. You had Mr. Gaurav Gogoi, who has given a statement in the capacity of representing the Congress, saying India's influence in its neighborhood clearly seemingly waning. Why is the Prime Minister silent while Hindus in Bangladesh face prosecution and persecution?
No, as I said, the comment about India's influence waning in Bangladesh is in no way in contradiction with what is happening to the minorities there and what the government stand is on that. This is simply a statement of fact, and I'm sure Ambassador Sikri would also agree with this, that as I said in the beginning, the kind of leverage which we had with Sheikh Hasina government, we don't have with the present establishment there. And so, yes, and in any case, we surround Bangladesh from all sides, barring one.
But Mr. Singh, that's why it's a tightrope walk. But Sanju Verma, for example, the BJP also turned around in Mamata Banerjee. What was so wrong with what the TMC suggested? That maybe we seek UN intervention. The TMC itself suggesting that we'll open our doors. We will take in Bangladeshi Hindus.
You know, Preeti, I heard everybody and I need my time to make my point. First and foremost, I completely endorse what Veena Sikri said. And I think for the benefit of your audience, and especially for illiterate, Congress leaders and their darbaris who've been taking pot shots at the Prime Minister, saying, "Oh, Narendra Modi ji ne to ab tak kuch kaha hi nahi, itne Hinduon ko maar dala gaya Bangladesh mein." You know, let me read out very quickly in 10 seconds the tweet of Prime Minister Narendra Modi on the 8th of August after Mohammad Yunus assumed responsibilities. My best wishes to Professor Mohammad Yunus on the assumption of his new responsibilities. We hope for an early return to normalcy, ensuring safety and protection of Hindus and all other minority communities. India remains committed to working with Bangladesh to fulfill shared aspirations of both our peoples for peace, security, and development. Prime Minister Modi, without flinching, he has categorically told Mohammad Yunus on the 8th of August that we want your dispensation to protect minorities and Hindus staying in Bangladesh. It could not have gotten any clearer than that. Now, second point about Mamata Banerjee and some other opposition leaders crying and saying that, let the UN step in. Let everybody know this, especially people who don't have a clue about diplomacy but want to give gyan on everything under the sun. India is not a member of the UN Refugee Convention of 1951. India is not a signatory to the UN Refugee Protocol of 1967. So the second point I'm making is India is not obliged to even seek the UN, in terms of its help or soliciting its approval or asking it to step in, because we are not signatories to any refugee conventions globally. Point number 3, the Modi government beat Operation Rahat in Yemen in 2015, beat Operation Devi Shakti when we evacuated Indians, including Sikh community, which was being butchered in Afghanistan after the takeover by Taliban, or be it Operation Ganga when we evacuated more than 20,000 Indian students studying in Ukraine, Romania, what have you, or for that matter, be it Operation Ajay when we evacuated Indians staying in Israel. The Modi government has always put India first when it comes to its diplomatic ethos. But I will just end by saying one thing, because the Congress spokesperson made many points. Be it Gaurav Gogoi, be it Rahul Gandhi, be it Jairam Ramesh, be it Priyanka Vadra. You look at their timeline since the 5th of August till date as we are speaking on the 2nd of December. Overtly, covertly, implicitly or explicitly, 1 minute, Preeti, they have been mocking Prime Minister Modi. They choose not to stand with India even during these times.
Sanju Verma, I want to get in Veena Sikri back into this conversation. Veena Sikri, the sheer fact, Sanju Verma detailed the terms of engagement we've had with the UN, but what is wrong? Because diplomatically, one would think it would make sense that we approach the UN, maybe a peacekeeping mission is sent to Bangladesh to normalize the situation. There really isn't anything wrong in that. That would be a means of diplomatic pressure.
Look, the first thing is that I don't agree about, the present government in Bangladesh is actually technically led by Muhammad Yunus, but it is being controlled by the Islamists. The Jamaat-e-Islami and the ut-Tahrir are controlling this government. So I think the first thing we have to recognize is that this interim government is not even a constitutionally valid government, because the interim government, such as it existed in the Bangladesh constitution earlier, only allowed for 90 days for the interim government or caretaker government, during which elections have to be arranged. But this government is going in talking about constitutional reforms and so on, and talking about, going back to changing what happened in 1971. People have been talking about that, even, various senior people in Bangladesh. So I think first thing is we must recognize that it's the people of Bangladesh who don't quite accept this. So the government has backed off on that. So we are being very circumspect. We have indicated our willingness to talk to the government of Bangladesh. Have they got any problems? They can talk to us, but they are not interested in talking right now. They are creating quite wrongly a kind of an anti-Indian wave among the people of Bangladesh, hoping, conflating Awami League and India, which is quite wrong. And as you've shown in your visuals, the Islamist people of Bangladesh, supporters of Jamaat-e-Islami, they are saying kill the Hindus. They are going around in Bangladesh taking rallies. We are drawing the attention of...
But Brajendra Singh, precisely the point, because you're dealing with a hostile government, or at least seemingly a hostile government, that you have to walk this very tightrope diplomacy walk where Bangladesh is concerned.
Of course, we are walking the tightrope.
For Brajendra Singh. So therefore, Brajendra Singh, then maybe step away from the politics of it all and let this time around diplomacy do what it should.
Well, that is what is happening. I mean...
But your party contends it, Brajendra Singh.
No. When my party talks about waning influence, I mean, what's wrong with that? Can't we see that the kind of influence we had in Bangladesh with Sheikh Hasina government, it is not there right now. And that's why this tightrope is so essential, that our relationships with Bangladesh, the entrenchment which we have there, it remains and does not get affected by this change of guard, which is temporary for the time being, and the kind of interdependencies that we have with Bangladesh now, the strengthening of relationship which has happened over the decades. We should not do anything precipitate to spoil that. But having said that, the situation in Bangladesh demands a very strong action on part of...
But Mr. Singh, you don't just say about the waning influence of India, your party has also made it very clear that Prime Minister Modi has been inept while Hindus in Bangladesh face persecution.
Preeti, can I
this has been the official stand. Ma'am, please allow him to speak. I'll come to you after that.
I don't think anyone has gone that far, but to answer to Ms. Sanju Verma, let me also say that RSS itself has said that government should mobilize the global support for the Hindus in Bangladesh. So everyone is trying to pitch in their own thing to somehow get a hold on the situation. But as I said in the beginning, it's a country in turmoil right now, and the government of Bangladesh has to take strong action to...
so, Mr. Singh, you feel that the government is doing enough right now, right? That's what the stand is.
Well, yes, it's a diplomatic tightrope. There is no denying that.
Sanju Verma, there's also contention, Vijendra Singh being more magnanimous, but you have a lot of commentary coming in from the Congress which seems to suggest that you point fingers to the Congress, but this was a party, the last time there was a crisis in the region, it split Pakistan into half. And that came under the leadership, as per the Congress, of Indira Gandhi.
Now, Preeti, I've heard everybody, since you spoke about Indira Gandhi, let me tell you, Bangladesh was formed in 1971. It was in 1972-73 that Indira Gandhi...
I know, ma'am, my father fought that war. I know.
Yes. So Preeti, I think you have illustrious legacy. I'm so glad to hear that. So Preeti, the limited point I'm making is that the land border agreement between India and Bangladesh, when Indira Gandhi was the Prime Minister, was signed when? 1970-73. And do you know something, Preeti, since you do research thoroughly? Finally, it was in 2015, under the Prime Ministership of Narendra Modi, that the land border agreement was brought to fruition after decades. We have a 4,097 kilometer border with Bangladesh. If today 62% of that is porous, is because of legacy socio-economic issues which the Congress ignored for decades. और आज ये मोदी सरकार को भाषण देते हैं. Preeti, I have one request. I do a zillion debates with you. I do debates on other channels with official Congress spokespeople too. And every time I've asked them, you talk about Hindus being marginalized in Bangladesh. Do you support the CAA? The answer is no. What does the CAA seek to do? It seeks to give citizenship status to persecuted minorities, including Hindus, Buddhists, Sikhs, and Jains from Pakistan, Afghanistan, Bangladesh. So, Preeti, wait. My limited point is this. Congress का तो वो हाल है, हाथी के दांत खाने के और दिखाने के और. If you really care for the Hindus of Bangladesh, please support CAA. Ask Rahul Gandhi.
But CAA is in effect, ma'am. The CAA is in effect, and one can go to their portal to know how many people have gotten, how many people have gotten citizenship. And also, if you talk about CAA, the NRC right now seems to be in cold storage. Nobody quite knows what came of the NRC.
Why do you heckling me when I
Ma'am,
talk?
I'm not heckling you. I am not heckling you.
Let me finish.
I'm the moderator. I'm allowed a rebuttal.
I'm not talking about CAA being in place or not being in place. Preeti, call out the hypocrisy of Congress. Why don't they support the CAA? Why don't they stand shoulder to shoulder with the government? Why are they allowing marginalization of Hindus?
That's a point that you posed to the Congress. I'll get in the Congress spokesperson and a quick word from Veena Sikri on that. Mr. Singh, would you want to respond? The hypocrisy is what the BJP spokesperson alleges, because on issues like CAA, the Congress's stand has always been against it. However, having said that, you take on the government on what is taking place in Bangladesh for not doing enough.
See,
do you support CAA, Mr. Singh?
Ma'am, I've asked him that question. Please allow me to be the moderator, Sanju Verma. Please allow me to be the moderator. Go ahead, Mr. Singh. Make your point.
Representing my party, I am putting forth a view where diplomacy has to work. And as I said, it's not easy times in Bangladesh. It is this kind of rant from the BJP side.
Ma'am, do not interrupt. Ma'am, do not. You were not interrupted. Ma'am, you had a free run. Do not interrupt. May I just get the Congress spokesperson to answer? Go ahead, sir. Make your point.
Till now, I deliberately did not want to venture into the language of calling Bangladeshis termites, fighting the entire Jharkhand election on illegal migration from Bangladeshis and those kind of things. These things do affect the psyche of people. As I said in the beginning, communalism on either side feeds each other. And that is what is happening right now.
I want to get in Veena Sikri. All right, sir. Okay, Veena Sikri, I want to get you in for a quick comment. What's the way forward, Veena Sikri? Because at least the atrocities that we see against Hindus are not stopping. What's the way forward that we can ramp up and amp up diplomatic pressure where Bangladesh is in question?
There is a lot of diplomatic pressure that we can ramp up, a lot of economic pressure that we can ramp up. At the moment, we are being very, very magnanimous. All humanitarian aid, whether it is rice or eggs or everything, is going across to Bangladesh. But we are also using the maximum force of discussion, of diplomacy. dialogue and telling the Bangladeshis, please look after your minorities because they want their rights. And I think this is what we have to support. The question is not because the minorities in Bangladesh have clearly said they want to stay there.
Taking off from what Ms. Sikri said, we're being diplomatic and understandably the kind of hostile government that we're dealing with, is it time now to also show the stick? Because as Veena Sikri says, we can ramp up diplomatic pressure in terms of tariffs, in terms of sanctions, in terms of business.
Veena Sikri is absolutely right. But as they say, with great power comes great responsibility. And there's this famous quote by Robin Hobb, diplomacy is the velvet glove that covers an iron fist. But beyond platitudes, I just want to say one thing to you, Preeti. At the core of the issue in Bangladesh, it is not about Muhammad Yunus. It is not about a coup which, completely obliterated the legacy of Sheikh Hasina. This is about radical Islamist terror. You will see the likes of Mallikarjun Kharge, Rahul Gandhi, Priyanka Vadra, Rashid Alvi, Mufti, Mehbooba Mufti. ये हिंदुओं को ज्ञान देंगे, Hindu Taliban, saffron terror, BJP की साजिश. Have they called out the bluff of radical Islamist terror, which is at the epicenter of the Hindu genocide?
That's all the time that I have for. I need to cut short this debate. We need to quickly move into our next debate that is coming up. I appreciate all three of you for joining us. Let's just hope we can disengage politics of what is happening right now in Bangladesh, but clearly that's not possible when it comes down to India. But we're going to keep a keen eye on all developments in Bangladesh and what's taking and the fallout of that which is taking place this side of the border. There was an incident which we regretted that took place in Agartala today. Meanwhile, let's move forward to something that the RSS chief Mohan Bhagwat said, and which has led to a fair amount of commentary and discussion and debate. Now, RSS chief Mohan Bhagwat has called for a re-evaluation of India's population policy, suggesting that families should have 3 children instead of 2, as India's fertility rate has fallen below the replacement level. His statement has warranted a mixed reaction from the opposition. While some have called it a targeted attack, some parties have said Mohan Bhagwat's remarks are rightly made.
RSS Sarsanchalak calls for a relook at India's population policy. Speaking at a public event in Nagpur, Mohan Bhagwat suggested parents should have 3 children instead of 2, as the country's fertility rate has fallen below 2.1, or the replacement ratio which keeps the population stable.
संख्येचा उल्लेख झाला, जनसंख्या कमी होते भरतीत आहे. चिंतेचा विषय आहे. याचं कारण हे शास्त्र, लोकसंख्या शास्त्र जे आधुनिक ते असं सांगतं की 2.1 च्या खाली जायला लागलो तर तो समाजच नष्ट होतो. पृथ्वीच्या पाठीवर तो राहत नाही. कोणी त्याला मारेल असं नाही. तो काही नसलं संकट तरी तो समाज नष्ट होतो, पुढे चालत नाही. अनेक भाषा अशा नष्ट झाल्या, अनेक समाज असे नष्ट झाले. 2.1 च्या खाली येतं का?
Bhagwat pointed out that the Hum Do Hamare Do policy was framed decades ago. The RSS chief's statement, which did not name any community, caused much confusion and evoked mixed reactions.
कोई भी समाज, कोई भी देश, अगर जनसंख्या एक तरफ विस्फोट हो और दूसरी तरफ असंतुलन हो, तो वो निश्चित तौर से चिंता की बात होती है. इसलिए जो है वो जनसंख्या असंतुलन जो है वो उसके बारे में उन्होंने सचेत भी किया है, उसके बारे में उन्होंने सावधान भी किया है. इससे ज्यादा कुछ नहीं है.
Some saw the comment as directed against Muslim community.
माशाल्लाह से मेरे को 6 बच्चे हैं. मैं पहले ही बोल दे रहा हूँ, फिर वो आप लोग बोलेंगे, वो पीछे से बोलेंगे, वो इसी ने ऐसा बोला, और उसके 6 बच्चे हैं. नरेंद्र मोदी के भी 6 भाई हैं, अमित शाह के भी माशाल्लाह अच्छे हैं.
Some asked, where are the resources to feed a huge population?
आज हमारी देश की पॉपुलेशन लगभग 150 करोड़ हो गई. और कितनी पॉपुलेशन बढ़ाना चाहते हैं सर संघ चालक? और कितनी पॉपुलेशन बढ़ाना चाहते हैं? रोजगार है आपके पास, नौकरी दे रही है, किसानों को दाम दे रही है.
And a few appear to support Bhagwat.
आरएसएस प्रमुख मोहन भागवत जी पिछले कुछ समय से जब भी कुछ बोलते हैं तो वो भारतीय जनता पार्टी को बड़ा असहज कर देता है. समाजवादी पार्टी की विचारधारा भले आरएसएस से नहीं मिलती हो, मोहन भागवत जी से हम बहुत से मुद्दों पर सहमत नहीं होते, लेकिन अगर किसी बात को सही कहा है तो सही को सही कहना वो गलत नहीं है.
The population debate has a north-south angle as well. Fertility rate in many southern states have dropped well below 2.1, making them aging societies. Recently, Andhra Pradesh Chief Minister announced the removal of 2 children only restriction for local body elections. His call found favour with Tamil Nadu Chief Minister M.K. Stalin too.
ఒకప్పుడు ఇద్దరు పిల్లల కంటే ఎక్కువ ఉంటే పంచాయతీల్లో కంటెస్ట్ పోటీ చేయడానికి వీలు లేదు, మున్సిపాలిటీలో పోటీ చేయడానికి వీలు లేదు, కోఆపరేటివ్ ఎలక్షన్స్ పోటీ చేయడానికి వీలు లేదు.
India's fertility rate has dropped from 3.4 in 1992-93 to 2 during 2019-21 period, a fall of 41.2%. Interestingly, China ended its one-child policy after the working-age population started dropping, posing an economic challenge. Population growth has economic as well as cultural aspects. Has time come for India to revisit its population policy? Bhagwat's comment has ignited a debate. Bureau Report, India Today.
The strange thing also is, viewers, that India's population woes, population policies has always been intertwined when it comes down to politics. To give you one example, one would well remember 1977, Indira Gandhi lost in election practically at the back of forced sterilization policy of the Congress at that time. Very recently, right before the Uttar Pradesh elections, there was a draft which is still pending in the Uttar Pradesh Assembly on Yogi Adityanath modifying for the state the population policy, stating that there should not be, 2 kids and more should not be, or more, should not be allowed in the state of Uttar Pradesh, a cap at 2 children. Well, that draft is still pending, and now you have the RSS chief saying that one should at least have 3 children and we need to relook at our population policy. Having said that, a lot of commentary also on where most or many politicians coming in from the opposition suggesting that there is a communal rhetoric to leaders raising the population policy in this country. Let's put out the statistics, viewers, where the fertility rate stands amongst communities. The growth rate of Hindus in 1992 was 3.3. Now it's declined to 1.94 in 2019-21, a significant change of 41.2%. Let's look at the fertility rate of Muslims. That dropped from 4.41 in 1992-93 to 2.36 in 2019-21, a change of 46.5%. So the fertility rate in Muslims is higher than Hindus, but the decline is way sharper than in Hindus. Now let's look at the birth rate of Christians, which also reduced from 2.87 in 92-93 to 1.88 in 2019-21. That saw a drop of 34.5%. The growth rate of Sikhs also declined from 2.43 in 92-93 to 1.61 in 2019-21. Overall, now this is the overall India picture, India's fertility rate has dropped by 41.2%. In 92-93, it stood at 3.4%, and there was a concerted effort. It hasn't happened, on its own. There was a concerted effort to bring down the fertility rate, as India is the most populous country in the world. It stood at 3.4% in 93, and by 2019-21, it's dropped down to 2%. Now, let's look at the states which have a low fertility rate. Now, population replacement level 2.1, Punjab stands at 1.63, West Bengal at 1.64, Karnataka 1.67, Andhra Pradesh 1.68, Maharashtra 1.71, Telangana 1.75, Tamil Nadu 1.76, Kerala 1.79, Gujarat 1.86, Odisha 1.82. It's interesting to note a lot of the South Indian states fall in this low fertility rate states statistic. And it's interesting to also note some states where the literacy levels are high, like for example, which we gave you, which is the example of West Bengal, or be it the example of Gujarat, you see a fertility rate which is lower even in the north or the east. Now, on the other hand, amongst large states, which are mostly seen as populous poor, let's look at the fertility rate there. Now, Bihar is at the highest fertility rate. Bihar, viewers, still has the fertility rate that India had in 92, which is 3.0. Meghalaya, 2.9. Uttar Pradesh, 2.4. Jharkhand, 2.3. Manipur, 2.2. Madhya Pradesh, 2.0. So there is a decline nationally, if you look at it, where the fertility rate of India is concerned, but it's not uniform. Where the populous poor states are concerned, it's still very, very high. Some of those figures parallel what the national average was at 1992, and others where you have the southern states or where literacy rate is high, you'll see a huge drop where the fertility rate is concerned. So not uniform, very dire. India comes into question. Is there a need right now to relook at India's population policy? Let's cut across to Professor Ravi Srivastava, Director, Center for Employment Studies, Institute for Human Development, Poonam Mutreja, Executive Director, Population Foundation of India. Ms. Mutreja, beginning with you, the sad part is there is always an element of politics involved when we talk about India's population woes or population policy. But do you see as one of the best solutions is to be forged in getting politicians to maybe behave in an apolitical manner and look at long-term future of the country? And where do you think it stands when we look at our population policy currently?
India has the richest demographic data, whether it is census or NFHS, which you quoted. And if an anchor can sound like a demographer, as you did, and give the right data, which is so clear in terms of what direction we should go in, I don't see why our politicians don't have access to that. We have a bureaucracy who gets the data, especially the population policy makers in the state as well as at the center. In fact, we have an excellent population policy. Yes, you can revisit to see how we can focus on young people more, given that India's population, 365 million young people. But the politics that are played in without using demographic data, but are based on politics, are based on ideologies. Let's remember this is about women's very private lives. It is about their bodies. It is about their reproductive rights and justice. To play politics, whichever the party, it is absolutely unacceptable. And I hope people will introspect, given women are a big vote bank, and given that women know how many children they want today. They didn't some years ago. Today, for anybody to imagine that the women's aspirations they are not going to follow is making a huge mistake. Women do not wish to have more than 2 children in India.
Okay.
In fact, wanted fertility is 1.
But Ms. Mutreja, for the sake of an argument, as I bring in Professor Srivastava into this, I ask you that question because we have seen a decline in the fertility rate, and we put that out in statistics. Yes. It also means that the country's much touted demographic dividend, 2/3 of India still comes between the 15 to 59 age group, a strong economic growth due to large population, which is, still in that working age category, will peter out. So there is an argument on the other side by the likes of, there might be a cultural aspect to it, but this is the economic aspect to it.
No, but the economic aspect also, along with demographic aspect, is that we need to get a strong India economically. We need to invest in these young people and their skilling, their education, their mental and physical well-being in terms of health. We need to make a lot of investment in these people. And given that the number is high, India is not going to have a situation where suddenly we are going to a 2.1 fertility rate will immediately result in minus growth rates. No, it's not. There is a population momentum that is going to continue thanks to these young people. India will begin to decline only in 2100. We have 75 years to plan, not only for our demographic dividend and become economically powerful, but we also have to plan for the aging population and the elephant in the room. I think the political leaders are distracting us from the fact that there is a delimitation exercise, which is really worrying South India, where fertility has declined, and they will lose seats, they will lose money.
Ms. Matreja, bringing in Professor Srivastava, because, you make that point, which is highly politically emotive, which is the delimitation exercise and redrawing constituencies on the basis of population. But that aside, if we stick right now, to what we spoke of, but you say the current population policy is perfect, which limits to 2 children. But, Professor Srivastava, something which Ms. Matreja also agreed. The fact is, where the southern states are concerned, or the state of West Bengal, the fertility rate is much lower than other states. It's not uniform. The fall in fertility rate across the country is not uniform. Much higher in certain poor, and more populous states, and much lower in the southern states. So there is now that entire cultural argument, which was also, if one says, was highlighted by Mohan Bhagwat's speech, where you have even the likes of chief ministers of 2 states, be it Tamil Nadu, be it Andhra Pradesh, come out and say very clearly that you need to preserve our culture. Who's going to do that when we are going to see such a sharp decline? Because some states have a fertility rate of 1.6.
Yeah, so let's say there are 2 sides to this whole debate. One, we may have missed out till now, which is that the old Malthusian spectre of overpopulation, that, determining everything, determining development, is now behind us. We are now focusing, for several decades, we are focusing on a changing population structure and on fertility rates which are going down. Fertility rates, as you have pointed out, are going down everywhere. They're going down in every state at different rates. They're going down across all communities. They're going down across rural and urban areas. The rates may be different, but there is a population momentum, as was pointed out, which we have to take note of. The second thing is, in this whole changing structure of population, there is again this focus back on the question of demographic dividend. Demographic dividend basically means that there is a phase in this changing population structure when the ratio of earning people, potentially the ratio of population in the earning age group to the non-earning age group, that is the dependents, it goes up. And because it goes up, if the actual number of earners goes up, then the economies are able to save and invest and are able to push the economic growth up, the rate of economic growth up. So we are in that phase where there is still this window of demographic opportunity open to us. The problem is, are we able to utilize this window of demographic opportunity? And we're just tinkering or, talking about pro-natalist policies, raising the fertility, trying to, put the clock back and raise fertility rates. Because fertility rates, you see, the people have already made a choice. They've made a choice in favor of lower fertility, one way or another. And it is very difficult to push the clock back, as, analysis from all over the world tells us. What we need to do is to provide jobs to the people who are there. And here we are, the economy is just not providing enough jobs. It's not a question of population. We are in the stage of demographic dividend. This will be with us for a few more decades, but we are not able to provide quality jobs.
But then are there lessons to learn from China? I'm playing the devil's advocate here because both of you seemingly have the same point of view.
Sure. So what is your
the question that I ask? Then aren't there lessons that we need to learn from China? Because if you look at it, they followed a particular policy and then are now suffering at the back of it.
So we basically, as I said, we don't, China is a very different, because China used coercive policies in order to reduce the size of the population, reduce the size of the family. We also have an experience with coercive policies, as you pointed out, during the emergency period. But nevertheless, basically now, people have made rational choices. People have made
Ms. Matreja, would you want to weigh in on that? And then I need to quickly wrap up the show, ma'am.
Yeah. So they have chosen quality over quantity.
Okay. Ms. Matreja, quickly, ma'am.
So China did a rapid decline. India has gone steady. In fact, India, while we could have invested more in family planning and women's empowerment like South India did, but India did it in a very balanced way. And China, we should learn what not to do from China. And right now, what we can learn from China is that, as Professor Ravi said, you cannot reverse the trend. And China is recognizing that now.
I thank you for both of you for joining us. Appreciate it. Thank you there. With that, we've reached the end of the show. Rajdeep is on a bit of a break. He's going to be joining you soon. You're stuck with me till then. I hope to make the most of it, and I hope we're going to have a good time with me here. With that, a quick break, but we do leave you with the image of the day, and that is the Prime Minister watching the Grant Masi starrer, the Sabarmati Report, which focuses on the events leading up to the 2002 Godhra train tragedy. We leave you with these visuals. Thank you for watching, and I will see you tomorrow. Good night.